Avoid these common home buying regrets in 2024.
Thank you for the advice.
Are you considering buying a house in 2024? Well, if so, these are regrets you really want to avoid. And there is actually a handful of them. So let's roll, let's discuss what they are, and let's hope that none of you will make those mistakes that will make you regret your home buying decision this 2024. I'm Ella Gurfinkel, Senior Loan Officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage and Team Ella, and I'm here today to talk to you about the biggest regrets I want you to avoid when buying a home in 2024. So rolling on, and yes, please stay till the very end because there is a little bit of a bonus there, so you don't want to miss it. The biggest regret, number one, so far, we're halfway through the year, and I keep hearing it from multiple clients. They're looking to buy because of peer pressure. You would have never guessed it. But yes, apparently, just because family, friends, support group, friend group, you name it, they're buying, some of the people feel that they have to buy too. Guess what? Home buying is the biggest ticket purchase in your entire life. Whether it's your first home or your 121st home, it's always going to be the biggest ticket purchase of your entire life. Granted, there are some parts of the country where a car costs more than a house. We're not talking about those. We're talking about still your biggest financial decision. So do you really want to make that financial decision because your friends are doing it? Do I have to answer that for you? I think you can answer that one yourself. So number one, do what's best for you. Because if you're not ready to buy, honestly, you're not ready to buy. And be honest with yourself. Will you? Do me a favor, please. Before you buy, do yourself a favor and understand your local market. Reading the national news honestly doesn't do the trick because the real estate markets always have differed from one part of the country to another. There's always a market that's doing better and always a market that's not doing so hot. Even at the height of the buyer's boom, even at the height of the seller's boom, there are always parts that counteract each other. So every market is hyper-local, and that's what you want to focus on. Your local market. How is it doing? Not what the national news says. Forget the national news. National news is typically actually about the fear porn. Does fear porn apply to your local market? Usually no. There are parts of the country right now where there are still multiple offers, and there are parts of the country right now where the inventory is now catching up to where it was before COVID. Why would it matter to you? You have to think about what the real estate prices are doing, specifically where you're looking. Even in the local markets, there are pockets of markets that are doing better or worse than others. So again, know where you're going to buy. Know what your market is doing. Talk to the local professionals, the one who will advise you and keep you in the know of what's specific to you, not what is specific to Joe Blow somewhere in Timbuktu that does not apply to you. You got that? We can move on to the next one. This one is freaking huge, actually. Waiving inspection contingencies. Let's say you're ready to buy. Do you know what a contingency is? You're buying a home and your offer is subject to, or your offer has contingencies. Financing is one of the contingencies. I never advise to waive that one unless you're buying with cash. That's your protection to not lose your earnest money. All of the contingencies are protection for you to not lose your earnest money, which we're talking typically thousands of dollars, right? We're talking anywhere from like $2,000 to $10,000 to $20,000, depends on the market again, depends on your personal situation. That's a lot of money to put on the table and gamble away, so to speak, by not protecting yourself with contingencies. Your inspection is a contingency. I don't know if you've seen my other videos, but I always refer to the home inspection as your insurance against a lemon of a house. Think about it again. Would you buy a lemon of a car knowingly? Would you buy a used car without an inspection? We're talking here, a lot smaller of a purchase on the grand scale of things, right? So would you buy a house without actually doing an inspection? Because you're basically buying a cat in the bag. You don't know what the hell you're getting into. So in my book, I am hella against waiving the inspection contingencies. Yes, there is one particular market that I'm very, very, very familiar with and very well aware of, and that's the Seattle market, where it's become a trend where the sellers want the buyers to waive their inspection contingencies. Does it mean that you go in and don't do an inspection at all? Not necessarily, you just typically can't ask for repairs, or you do a pre-inspection before you actually make an offer, and yes, you do spend the money on that. But at least you're going in knowing what you're getting as opposed to a blind purchase. So if we've beaten that one to death by now, or at least I have, you want to hear about the next one, do you? Realistic property expectations. Yes, you do have to set those because there are a few things at play here. One, not keeping up with the Joneses. Two, be realistic about what you want versus what you need versus what you have to have. You really have to know the distinction between those three, and you really have to make your lists and know what you're getting for the price. Because the wants may land you in an entirely different category price-wise than you can actually afford. The needs is a whole other story. And somewhere in between, can your finances handle it? Are you approved to go that high? Are you not? There's your answer. But again, the needs versus wants versus must-haves usually is a pretty broad spectrum that you may or may not need to be in, or that you may or may not be able to qualify for. And that is $1 million question typically. Next on my list, ensuring your financial readiness. Are you ready to actually make that monthly payment is a big question, because if you're not, that's a blunt conversation to have for you, with you, and yourself, and potentially your significant other or whoever it is that you're buying with. Because you may think you're ready, but financially, you may not be. So taking the step and actually getting pre-approved and actually knowing what you're pre-approved for and actually knowing what the monthly payment that stems from that pre-approval would be. That's part of your financial readiness and part of realizing whether you can or cannot take the plunge and actually start looking at homes. This can be a whole 6-hour-long video, not just a few minutes, just on that subject alone, whether you're financially ready and what constitutes financial readiness. So I'm going to table this for now. And enough said, moving on to the next item of discussion. Considering maintenance and costs. Buying a home, it's not just making a payment every month. It's also setting money aside or having the funds available, whether it's sometimes even a credit card, to pay for any and all potential repairs that a house may carry. To replace a water heater, you're looking at, somewhere around probably $800 and up. And the water heater is something that you can really live without, right? Don't know what the current cost for the furnace is. I know when I replaced mine a few years back, that was like $7+. That's a chunk, that's $7,000+. Those repairs do add up. Even something as simple as a freaking garage door spring is in the hundreds. And that's just something stupid as the garage spring, like I said. So you're looking at hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars in home repairs and home maintenance costs. Maintenance, not so much. Repairs, yes. The better you maintain your home, the less repair costs you will have, but still, things have a useful life. You can extend it sometimes, but you can't really keep it on life support forever. Water heaters, furnaces, toilet tanks. Yes, those can leak. Been there, done that. When apparently bolts rust out, your toilet bowl starts leaking. Your roofs. Roof life is finite. Dishwashers, micros, ranges, cooktops, ovens. None of that is forever, so at some point in time, it either has to be fixed or replaced. And everything comes at a cost. And with inflation, those costs have gone up. So even if you think you're ready to make that monthly payment, one of the biggest regrets statistically from the recent home buyers of the last couple of years is the cost of repairs and the cost of maintenance. So consider that. Do not consider it lightly. Think about it. Because again, we're talking buku bucks here, and that's a big chunk of home buying. And that's something that not enough people take into consideration. So here you have it. I wanted to highlight it. So it is front and center. So it's not a mystery. So you do know what you're getting yourself into. And with that said, my almost last item to talk about in terms of regrets is feeling pressured by market trends. And if you've talked to me personally, you will have heard me say that the best time to buy was 10 years ago and today. You can't turn the clock back. So 10 years ago is gone, and the prices of 10 years ago are gone. The best time of buying is today for that reason, is because tomorrow the homes will be more expensive. But if you're not ready financially, if you're ready, hell yes, let's do this. But if you're not ready financially, don't let the market trend pressure get to you. Because yes, we are suffering from a hell of a lack of inventory in pretty much all of the major markets. And that means that with the demand as strong as it has been, even with the high interest rates, people are still competing multiple offers for the same homes. So does that add pressure to your home buying need? If you feel one, yes, of course it does. But if you're not ready, making that plunge into home buying and buying a home may actually end up costing you direly with your credit, with the extra costs that you may not be yet equipped to handle. Don't make a regret of buying just because you felt you had to. Buy a home because you're in a position to, and you've gotten yourself ready to. So don't fall into the pressure. And drum roll, please. Here is my bonus for you. This is a 2-for-1, actually. The bonus thing that most people don't really consider is do not do self-help or DIY on buying a home. I know IGTV makes it sound hella easy, but real life is not IGTV, and real life is not a reality show. So seek professional advice first and foremost. Talk to qualified, experienced, well-meaning professionals, the people who will have your best interest at heart. Real estate agents in most markets have a fiduciary responsibility to you, the buyer, to represent your interests. Mortgage lenders, we typically, as a whole, as we've had the culling of the herd and the herd has thinned a lot, what's left standing, who's left standing, are the best and the brightest, and we care. And we don't want 07, 08 to repeat itself, which it probably never will actually, because that's a whole other convo again. But we don't want to put people in a bad position. We want our buyers to be on solid ground, to be financially better off, not worse off than before they came to us. So seek professional advice, whether it's the right time for you to buy so you're not experiencing those regrets, and then utilize technology. Utilizing technology doesn't mean necessarily being on social media and comparing yourself to others, or reading the social media posts or looking at social media posts and TikTokers talk about mortgage. Utilizing technology is about using the online calculators, the legit ones, and utilizing budgeting apps, and utilizing apps that will weed out your duplicate subscriptions to Netflix and Spotify and what have you. That technology I'm all in favor of. So utilize technology to your benefit and marry that with qualified professional advice, and you will not regret buying a home in 2024. And with that, my friends, I'll see you in the next one.